We'll call to order. It is 11:32 a.m. Amy, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Ashworth,
Here.
Commissioner Banks,
Here.
Commissioner Hassler,
Here.
Commissioner Watt.
Here.
My apologies, that wasn't a vote, that was just roll call, nonetheless. If you would stand, please, and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Welcome to an early June meeting. We appreciate your flexibility there, and we appreciate your flexibility in our start time. We had a wonderful morning. We were up in the Maryland Heights area, beginning the groundbreaking for our new second precinct, our new Rec Fusion Center, our new property control building. Pretty special morning. So it took us a long time to get here. I think Captain Blake said it was 21 years in the QT, at least what was formerly the QT. So Captain Blake, again, to you and your precinct, thanks for your patience. We're finally going to deliver on our version of that formula. So thank you. We have a lot to celebrate today, so we appreciate all of the celebrations. We're going to start out by celebrating three new police officers to the swearing-in ceremony. Some gentlemen, if you would come forward. All you have to do is repeat after me. Take a deep breath, and there's going to be two sections. This is going to be the first section where you're going to repeat after me. The second section is just going to be read to you. If you will raise your hands. I state your name.
I, Virgil Child,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am a citizen of the United States,
that I am a citizen of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws
and laws
of the United States,
of the United States,
the state of Missouri,
the state of Missouri,
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of St. Louis County,
of St. Louis County,
that I will faithfully adhere
that I will faithfully adhere
to the regulations
to the regulations
provided in the rules and procedures
provided in the rules and procedures
for deputization
for deputization
as adopted by St. Louis County,
as adopted by St. Louis County,
and that I will faithfully demean myself
that I will faithfully demean myself
as a deputized officer
as a deputized officer
of the St. Louis County Police.
of the St. Louis County Police.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. The last piece is just to make sure that you understand your authority. As a deputized officer of St. Louis County, you are restricted to the protection of persons and property at Lambert St. Louis International Airport. Congratulations, and thank you for what you're doing. Appreciate it very much so.
Thank you. Congratulations. Look up. Right.
For those of us who spend a lot of time in the airport, we look forward to you taking care of us.
Remember our faces.
Yeah, remember our faces. Thank you. Thank you. Chief, we're going to continue, if that's okay, with some service stars. Yes, sir. We look forward to this all the time. It's a deep appreciation for those who have committed part of their lives to protecting all of us, so thank you very much. So we're going to call your name. If you'd come up, receive your pin, and shake our hands so that we can tell you thank you, we would greatly appreciate it. With 25 years, or celebrating 25 years of service, and we're deeply appreciative for that. It's quite a lifetime. Sergeant Michael Turizzo from the South County Precinct.
I want you to give me a star first.
That's all right.
You give me a star first.
Sure, thank you very much. Appreciate your leadership.
Thank you. Don't receive it. Give me a star first.
Yeah,
We'll just go down the line.
sorry. Through your curve.
You want me to hand it to him first, and then you go down.
You want
Let's
to do
go
that?
too. Okay.
That works. In the Division of Operations Support, sorry, I apologize, Sergeant. Sergeant's obviously in the Division of Patrol and Division of Operational Support, both celebrating 5 years. The first is Mr. Aaron Ford Grivens in the Bureau of Communications. So thank you, Mr. Givens.
Thanks for your help, man.
I didn't mean to throw an extra R in there. Ford Givens, my apologies. And also celebrating 5 years, also in the Bureau of Communications, Ms. Sarah McGrath. And we look forward to seeing the two of you here in 20 years. So we can give you a 25-year pin. Thank you very much. Sir, I think we'll pass some of the celebratory stuff over to you, if that's all right.
Thank you, appreciate it. Good morning, all. As the commissioner said, we had a great time this morning dedicating the new complex out there at the in Maryland Heights. Another testament to our efforts to do great service for our community. Again, Captain Blake, 21 years out there at the Quick Trip. I remember I used to go in there and get sodas when I was working in the second precinct out there, but we're finally getting them out of there. With this precinct being built, of our 5 major precincts, we will own 4 of them. We'll still be running the West County precinct, so that's a great deal for the St. Louis County Police Department. I do have some awards to make. First up, I'm gonna call up, I'm gonna get this right, Alejandro Infante Valdez. And Police Officer Mark Johnson. Take that. While I stand in the middle.
Perfect.
Thank you. Captain.
Members of the board, chief, ladies and gentlemen, in September of 2023, Officer Valdez and Officer Johnson received a call for domestic in the 9100 block of Rambler Drive. Actually, the wife called stating that her husband was very intoxicated and had a gun. You can hear in the call notes and in the background that he was making verbal threats that if the police responded, he would shoot them. Upon arrival, the wife contacted Officer Valdez and Johnson just a little ways from the resident and told them that he had 2 weapons. Immediately, they observed the 2 weapons in each of his hands, and at that time, they made a plan. They took cover, they approached the house in a tactical L situation. Officer Valdez was on the left, Officer Johnson took the front. After obtaining cover on the house, they started contacting the individual to drop the weapon. The husband said some things, wouldn't drop the weapon, and all of a sudden, the actual husband raised both guns, pointed them at each of the officers, and they fired at the officer. The officer immediately returned fire, striking the suspect, ending that threat. They were able to make sure the scene was safe. They attended him, gave him first aid. They were able to get him transported to a local hospital. Unfortunately, he did not survive. But that day, these 2 officers took a bravery call, and they actually saved a bunch of lives that were on the streets at that time. So kudos to these gentlemen for acting promptly and doing what they did that day, because at that time there was a lot of confusion going on and a lot of things going on. But the bravery of these 2 officers need to be commended. They did an excellent job. They saved some lives that day. So I'm proud of these officers, and I thank them for the work that they do.
Wow.
Thank you.
That was a tough.
Hey, guys.
That was a tough. Oh, man.
Valdez, congratulations. We got here with you, anybody?
Yeah, my mom and my sister.
Mom and sister, stand up, please.
Yeah.
Come All right. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. All right. Take care. Who's here with you today, Mom? My mother. Mom? How you doing? Okay, next up, I saw some guys coming here that look like they were very important guys, all dressed up in three-piece suits. You guys will come up. The United States Marshal Service, District of Eastern Missouri, come on up. And how about Miss Deborah Bott? There she is. And Mr. Hugh Herndon, come up, please. Come here. Sergeant Hill, you got it, sir.
All right, so on September 21st, 2023, Missouri Department of Corrections prisoner Tommy Boyd escaped custody while he was receiving treatment at Mercy South Hospital in St. Louis County. Tommy Boyd was serving a lengthy prison sentence for repeated sex crimes against children. Shortly after Boyd's prison escorts learned of his escape, the St. Louis County Police Department was requested to respond and assist with the fugitive reapprehension. When members of the Eastern Missouri District Marshal Service learned of the escape, they immediately offered their assistance and resources to aid the St. Louis County Police Department in any way possible. A joint command post was established by members of both the St. Louis County PD and the Marshal Service. Deputy Marshal Drew Poland and TFO Anna Kimball provided invaluable assistance receiving leads, directing search teams in the field, and coordinating with St. Louis Metro PD resources as the search efforts moved the county to the city. The marshal arrest teams responded to and safely searched numerous locations as the investigation prolonged throughout the day. A little after 7 p.m., Miss Bopp was approached by Boyd, who asked her for directions. After Boyd continued on his way, Ms. Bopp requested her neighbor, Mr. Herndon, join her so they can maintain a visual of Boyd and report the sighting to police. Ms. Bopp and Mr. Herndon, risking their own safety, kept constant surveillance on Boyd while following him. Despite communication difficulties between them, the St. Louis County communications, the St. Louis City communications, Ms. Bopp and Mr. Herndon did not give up and continued their surveillance while doing their best to notify law enforcement. Ms. Bopp and Mr. Herndon provided precise real-time directions to Boyd's current location as he walked between businesses in South St. Louis County area, ultimately leading to his arrest. The St. Louis County Police Department wishes to express our gratitude and appreciation for the ongoing relationship between the Marshal Service and our department.
Thank you, sir. You guys want to squeeze in and take a picture? You got anybody else here with you? Nobody? Anybody else want to introduce quickly? Nope. No? Well, again, thank you all for your help. I remember that day well. Yes. I remember that day well that we talked about working regionally, and here's an opportunity to see how that all worked out good for everybody. So thank you guys. I can take care.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for that. Appreciate that very greatly. Chief, if you don't mind interruption, as they were walking by, they just complimented the SRU unit for the partnership with them, putting handcuffs on the perpetrators, so. They were talking about the SRU unit being a key partner of theirs.
Yeah, like I said, we all worked real well on that particular day and got this, I think it took us, what, about 7, 8 hours to get him back in custody? Most of the day, so she did a great job out there. Next up, Police Officer Kevin Patterson. Kevin receiving a commendation today. Kevin, congratulations. Great. Lieutenant?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Chief Gregory, ladies and gentlemen. I want to take you back a little bit to the fall of last year in the North County precinct, primarily Glasgow Village. We were dealing with a spike in violent crimes. And I mean, it was anything from larcenies, armed carjackings, and just random gang members walking around flourishing citizens with firearms. Go a little bit down to December the 21st of 2023. That night, one of our officers was receiving numerous calls for these gang members just walking around the Glasgow Village area, doing a myriad of crimes. She encountered those individuals, exited her vehicle, encountered them, and one of them opened fire on her, and then they all fled. I was working that night. It was just chaos. All the resources that we had were called in. We searched between air support, our K-9 unit, crime scene, Division of Criminal Investigation, patrol. We were just looking for this subject that had fired on one of our officers. Obviously, the investigation began. We started talking to individuals that might know the whereabouts of the suspect or suspects, and that led the information to start rolling in. Obviously, interviews were being conducted by DCI, and some suspects were developed. At that point, it just comes down to good police work and officers that know their beats and the people that live in those beats. And that's where Officer Patterson comes in. He's patrolling on the 28th of December, sees one of the suspects. Obviously, he knows the deal. On a few days prior, one of our officers had been shot at with a firearm. So he pulls up, exits his police vehicle. After a foot pursuit with the suspect, he takes one of them into custody. And obviously, more interviews occur, and we start bringing more people to justice. Since this incident has concluded, that area is completely quiet again. So the effect of this arrest, not only by Officer Patterson, but all of the members of the department that had a hand in the investigation, flying a helicopter, leading a K-9, executing a search warrant, it was fabulous. The amount of things that have fallen off in that area since this arrest, I should say, is tremendous. Officer Patterson did a remarkable job, and this commendation is very well deserved.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. So the whole community is safe. Thank you.
Evan, anybody here with you today?
Yes, sir. My wife and my 2 daughters.
Wife and 2 daughters, and you guys want to take pictures?
Yeah, what's he say? Have a double barrel shotgun. Congratulations.
Next up for a life-saving award, Police Officer Michael H. Congratulations, sir.
Good afternoon. I want to thank, this is Officer H, Michael H. He's one of my stars. And I want to thank him for all the kind words he said to me about providing leadership to him. A lot of times, I don't know if you know that, Chief, but we do a lot of talking with each other. Sometimes an award, it's very hard to describe, you know? And I'm very, very proud of the work that Mike did on this day. So in November 24th, 2023, he did nothing more than get to the call very quickly, and it was a sick case where somebody was having seizures. And he got there before the ambulance, and the young lady stopped breathing. She was unresponsive. And Mike did proper CPR and saved her life. Gave her CPR for quite a period of time. And after one of my sergeants interviewed and took the statements from the two paramedics that were there, they said that he definitely saved her life. And she's alive today because of Mike. I can't say that he ran through a lightning storm to get to her or pull her from a raging river, but he saved her life, and I'm really proud of you, and you do a great job for me. So, congratulations.
Mike, got out here with you today? Yes, sir. I have my wife and my daughter. Wife and your daughter. Come on up there. And Commissioner has one promotion to make. This is Marlon Best. Come on up. Marlon is being promoted from a forensic scientist 2 to a forensic scientist 3. Congratulations.
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 I got out here with you today.
Unfortunately, my husband is traveling for business, but I have all of my lovely, wonderful lab family.
We got Lynn Tree to take a picture of all of you tonight. Come on up, guys. Thank you. I think we're done, right?
He was a Girl Scout.
Yeah, right.
So kind of go behind, like where Dan is, a couple of the taller people.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Okay, we'll let Vera get her shot.
This is for Lisa.
Can you come out?
22 of
Yeah.
Thank you. It's going to be that quick.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Congratulations. Commissioner, that's all I have, sir.
Thank you. For those of you who are visiting, friends, family, coworkers, we are about to get in some nuts and bolts of our meeting. That means it's going to be probably very boring for you. So now is the time. If you would like to leave, you can leave. If you'd prefer to stay and see all the behind the scenes stuff, you are also very welcome to stay. But thank you for being here to support our officers and our employees.
Each other on the way out.
I like you being on this side.
Oh, okay, all right,
I'd like to be closer to you.
okay.
Partially because I don't have to look past him all the time.
This works.
I just wanted to make sure without you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, everything else going on.
Dave.
First up, Terry Moran with the budget update.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
We
Good
got 5
morning.
minutes of morning.
Yeah, we do.
Good morning.
You're good. Okay, there's not much change from last month. I showed a little bit more of a surplus, but that's in salaries and fuel. We probably are going to have a higher fuel surplus, but I'm just trying to be a little conservative. So I'm showing like about 10.5 million surplus. The only other thing I wanted to point out, I don't know if you all looked at the bottom where the overtime hours are. I just wanted to point out how they're lower than last year, which I thought was interesting, and pretty consistent, but lower, and they don't seem to be increasing too much yet. I know we're just starting with the summer months, but so the reason why the larger deficit is because of the higher pay rates. The 2025 budget process is actually being kicked off today by county government, so I should have more for you in the coming months. I have nothing right now for it. And that is really it. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Oh, we're scanning. Give us just a minute, Terry.
Okay.
Let us scan for
Yeah.
just a second with what we
Okay.
had this morning. We
Little
didn't get
busy.
a chance to, yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the column, second column from the right, the percent expenditure, so we get a feel for how we're tracking
Yeah.
over the course of the
little
year. Not
easier
just
to
the
look at.
dollars, but the percent.
Right.
And to your point on overtime, 54% through, is this through May,
Yeah, it'd really be
right?
through
So,
end of April,
end of April. all
end of
right.
it, beginning of May.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to compare the summer months with last year.
It's a good thing we don't have a spotlight on you. Any questions? Don't see. Mike? Thank you, Terry.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Terry, appreciate it.
Ran up and put it.
Fast as you can.
For crime update, department stats, Abby? All yours.
Good afternoon.
Is it officially afternoon? Good afternoon.
It's right at noon. I made sure to
It is
check.
that. You timed it perfectly.
All right, this is not a quarterly update, so I'm going to hopefully keep it very short and sweet. There's also not really anything exciting, so there's not much to talk about in the first place. Our main side for notable events with our BPS stats, most things are down so far compared to last year. Our uses of force are only up 10%, and our citizen complaints are up 25%, but that's only one in comparison. Failure to yields last month, there were 175, which is a little lower than we've had typically, but we've also are comparing to a really high January and February of 2023. That's kind of offsetting that. Again, our failure to yields, about 67% are happening in 1st, 8th, and 4th precincts, or Jennings, North County, and South County. It's been tracking the same way since we've started, basically. For our highlights, our arrests are down about 92 compared to last month, but since it's early in the month, they typically start to rise a little more as time goes on. Guns seized are down about 48 compared to the month prior, and our DWI reports are down to 39. Only 36% of those were from highway safety last month due to a lot of scheduling changes, and that's a direct impact to what our total numbers will be. For crimes against persons, our homicides are down almost 17%. Almost every category is also down. Aggravated assault with hands, feet, and fists is up 57%, but it's been much higher than that in previous months, so we're seeing that actually trend downward. Overall, aggravated assaults are down almost 4%, with all crimes against persons down 0.6%, so practically even. Homicides for crimes against persons, they had 5 last month, 4 in St. Louis County Patrol areas and 1 in Riverview. One of the ones for St. Louis County Patrol, the homicide itself occurred earlier, but it wasn't declared a homicide until May, so that's how they count it. For crimes against persons, we're seeing some of the similar things where almost every category is down. There's fraud and deception is up a little, burglary is up a little, but overall, all crimes against property are down 15%. And similarly with crimes against society, almost every category is down. We have the prostitution offenses that look like crazy because they're 600%, but it's 1 from last year compared to 7 this year. Only 5 reports, but 7 offenses. Overall down 18.5%. For our calls for service, absolutely every precinct is above the average, which is what we expect to see as we're going into the summer months. And then with that, self-initiated, almost every precinct is below the moving average, except for Wildwood, they went above. Top calls for May are similar to most every other month with sick cases and extra patrols. And there are currently no outliers for the traffic stop reporting data. It's nothing exciting, but open to any questions.
None. I would like for you to at least email this to us. I think we used to get them, because it's hard to see.
Right, understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get them yesterday. Part of that, Thomasina, is because we moved the board meeting ahead a week, they didn't get the
Didn't get it.
numbers until, I think, yesterday. Is that right, Ally?
Right, correct.
Yeah, so they got to me in the afternoon, and I didn't get a chance to send them out until last evening, but your point's still valid, right? Sooner you
Thank
can
you.
get it, gives us more time. I do have a recommendation that the gentleman who used to present here, we won't call him out by name, but we will have Ally present to us all the time, and
All the
Shellman, he's
time.
good to go. She does. No,
I thought we
kidding,
weren't
of
calling
course.
by name.
I don't know about all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ally.
Yeah, good job.
And Shellman, of course, knows we're joking.
For the record.
And Ally, you are welcome to bring down numbers that are lower than last year all the time. All right.
Say she can do mine.
So you can do yours? Not yet.
I just have a couple of slides, I promise. All right, so just a quick update. So for our staffing numbers. So for our commission staff, we currently have 146 vacancies, so staying pretty steady. It seems like each month we have anywhere from 144 to 146. We do have our academy class that's graduating at the end of this month, so June 20th. We have 11 graduating. And then we have our new class that's starting June 24th. Right now, we have 9 that are confirmed. That means they have completed everything. They're ready to go, and most of them are actually, they've already started. They're working in the precincts and already getting acclimated to the department. We have 4 that are pending either medical evaluations or their psych evaluation. We have 1 that's carrying over from this last recruit class. She was injured, and so she has already been cleared to go ahead and jump right back in. So we will have 14 recruits in this class, pending those last couple. We also have 2 experienced officers that are starting on Monday, so they're being sworn in on Monday. We currently have 11 applicants that are in backgrounds right now, so we're working through their backgrounds that are looking promising, and then we have 3 of which are experienced officers. So still really working through a lot of applications, it's just that quality piece that we're still kind of battling with right now.
Wait, can you go back for?
Of course.
2 very quick questions.
Yes.
So the 11 that are in background, they would not make the June class. They
That
would
is
be the December
correct. We
class.
have already made it past that deadline that we wouldn't be able to get them through quick enough to get into the June Academy.
And while slight, the numbers are still a little better than we've been seeing
Yes.
for the last couple of years.
That
Are we
is
starting to see, do we know why they're up? Is that partially due to some of the renewed efforts? Is it just, do we know why?
Probably a combination. We are starting to see a little bit more, like we had 2 different people that said they saw our billboard, so that was exciting. But I think it's just kind of a combination, a little bit better community relationships, things like that. So I think it's just starting to be a little bit of combination of things.
Wonderful.
I'll wait till she gets done.
Okay.
I'll wait.
Sure, no problem. So professional staff, we have 11 vacancies in security officers. So we actually have 2 security officers that are going to be joining our June recruit class. So one thing we've been having some conversations about is our security officers should be our succession planning for our police officers. So that's just not something that we've really focused on a lot before. So we're really trying to focus on that being succession planning for our police. So we have 2 that are in our recruit class, but we have 11 vacancies right now for security. 1 going to final review board tomorrow to be a new security officer. We have 5 in background. So really trying to make that a new focus because they're hurting as well. So, they're really feeling that as well. In communications, our dispatch academy begins July 8th. We currently have 5 that are ready for that academy, another 5 in background. So really trying to fill that as well. They're doing really well in communications. We, can finally say they feel like they're quote unquote staffed. We have finally gotten the salary where it truly needs to be in communications. So they're not fighting this constant battle of they can't get quality applicants. So we're in a good place in communications. Obviously still working to backfill. You're going to constantly have turnover, of course, but they're in a really good place. Probably one of the very few places I can say that, but they are in a good place there. So retention. This was actually really good once I started crunching these numbers. Our resignations for commission staff are actually down 23% compared to last year. Retirements are up 13%. We expected this. We know that our retirements are up and they're probably going to be up for quite a while because we have a lot of people that are able to retire. We're just kind of waiting for those to start coming in, and they are. So we expected that. Professional staff, on the other hand, resignations and retirements are both down, huge numbers down. So don't know why, but they are, and that's okay. We're going to enjoy that while we can. So, we have to kind of take the wins where we can and hope that that stays around. So,
Good news.
yes. So, in terms of recruiting, so we signed a special order. So, Chief signed a special order last week. This was a revision to our selection process. So, this deals with excluding marijuana use from an applicant's prior drug use. So when we are, how it works is when we have an applicant and they do, so this is for commissioned staff is really where it affects us the most. So when we have an applicant that comes and does our PT test, they pass the PT test, then we sit down and we talk to them. We kind of call it our speed dating because we go through and ask them a couple different questions. And we talk to them about just various different things, and one of them is prior illegal drug use. And if they've told us, yes, I smoked marijuana and it was 4 months ago, we then have to say, okay, come see us. And it has to be at that year mark. And we have lost quite, and even if they just say, I just did it once, it was a stupid mistake, they are otherwise a really qualified candidate, we are losing quite a few people in that instance. Of course, other drugs, that's still, still that 1 year mark, it has to be. But for instance, when we signed this over, I then had my recruiters go through and look at the people that we have disqualified. We had 8 people just in the last two or 3 months that we were able to call. They were all still interested. Neighboring agencies don't have this hard rule. They just kind of look at them on a case-by-case basis. And so we're kind of aligning ourselves with them and doing the same practice that they're doing. This all came up because we had a past employee that left, wanted to come back just 4 months later, made a stupid mistake as soon as he left, just a one-time thing. He's like, it was stupid. And we were like, sorry, see us in a year. And that was just ridiculous. He was a great employee, had no issues, was with us for a long time. So we're able to bring him back. So really excited about this. I think this is really going to open up the doors for us and really allow us to bring in quality applicants that otherwise we were turning away. We also have a new promotional item that has been ordered. So we placed an order for some poker chips. So a lot of agencies have been doing this for a while. It's kind of the new item. And so instead of handing out business cards, they're the little poker chips that have our logo, and it's a little design on it. On the back, it has our QR code. So I did place the order. I was hoping to have them today so I could show them off. I don't want to show a design because I want to keep that element of surprise. Really excited about these. We ordered enough to take them to all of the precincts so that officers can have them in their pocket. They can, when they're out and about in the community, and they see something, they're like, you would be a great candidate. I want you to come work with us. They can hand that out. A lot of times when somebody gets a business card, they toss it in the trash or they don't hold on to it. Poker chip's a little bit different. So really excited about that. It's going to kind of just up our recruiting game, not something just for our recruiters to have. Everybody can get involved in something like that. And it's just new, fresh, and exciting for us. So really excited about adding that.
We look forward to seeing them in June.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, July.
Yes. So 30 by 30 initiative update. So with this initiative, it's a nationwide initiative that we have joined. So the goal is to get to 30% female commission employees by 2030. Right now, we are currently at 15.3% for all of our commission employees. National average is 12%, so we still are trending above that. So we are definitely making progress. With our females in positions of rank, we are at 15.8%, and the national average is 3%. So we are also trending above that. So, we're definitely making this a focus in our, recruiting retention efforts as well as our promotion efforts. So that's just a quick update on that as well. That's all I have.
Thank you.
What questions do you have for me?
I noticed that our partners at St. Louis City Metro have now television ads.
Yes. Yep. So we are having those discussions as well. We're going to speak with the Police Foundation, see if they can help us out a little bit as well. Those are expensive. And they have primetime ads.
They do have
so
primetime, right?
yes, we
Pretty
did see
aggressive.
those. Yes.
I know we draw from the same pool, so.
Yep. Yes. But we are having those discussions too,
Okay.
Absolutely.
We've talked about it before, so.
Yes.
Going off of Richard's question, the branding campaign that we have we been able to fully implement that from the recruiting and retention standpoint, or are we still moving into it a little more slowly with poker chips and?
With the branding?
Yes.
Yes. So right now the focus was getting some of the branding in headquarters done. And then now we're going to be meeting and going over the different templates and things for the billboard, updating our billboards, getting that all updated with the new branding and all of that. So it'll be here in probably the next month.
Websites, YouTube?
All of that.
the
Yep.
different- Okay.
Yep. So that is coming up.
We look forward to seeing that.
Yes. Very exciting. I think it'll be a good, fresh perspective for everybody. It'll be good.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So we discussed that marijuana issue quite a bit the other day. With it being legal and maybe in the near future, the feds are going to make it a Schedule II. And as Julie said, we've lost quite a few applicants because of that. I think Sergeant Pan is going to talk to you a little bit more about the branding, where we are with that. And I don't want to steal any of Colonel Lohr's steam here, but Director Wagner mentioned the fact about our communications and how well filled we are at this time. And we haven't been at this point for the last 10 years. So with that, Colonel Lohr, we have addressed a situation that's going to hopefully keep us with that. And he's here to explain that to you.
Thank you. Your laryngitis doing better?
I'm sorry?
Is your laryngitis doing better? Do we need?
It is.
All right,
I'm
we
just
don't
gonna
need-
tee this
we
up
don't
for the
need
captain.
Captain Romo come up and
Yeah,
talk?
well, I hurt my ankle on the way here and my throat, I lost my voice. Yeah, luckily it's come back though, just in the nick of time.
Chief just showed you be sweet.
Yeah.
These are walking workers' comp cases.
Exactly. Chief, thank you. Board of Commissioners, thank you for having me. Obviously, you've already heard Director Wagner talk about communications. You just heard the chief talk about it. So I'll give you a little context, and then I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to let Captain Romo come up and talk about some of the other things that are happening in communications.
Sorry, Captain.
Yep. He's prepared. So to kind of give you context on what we're talking about in the staffing, and you heard the director say this already, but the reality is about a year ago, we were approximately 27 people short from our authorized staffing. So we had significant turnover. If you kind of look historically, in 2021, we had a 53% turnover rate. In 22, we had dropped that to 44. In 23, we had kind of gotten it down into the 20% rate, but our turnover was rather significant. And so in April of this year was the first time in 10 years that we were just one short of our authorized staffing number. So that number was 67 call takers or PSDs. And it's the first time in 10 years that we've been that close to our authorized staffing. You can attribute that to a couple things that are happening. One, the leadership within communications, the captain, that the captain that's in there now has done a lot of things to improve kind of just morale and the overall feel within the Bureau itself. You've got the deputy director, you've got Brian Battles, you've got Jason Mazier. So the kind of the leadership there has really embraced the change and pushed it forward. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that the men and women there that are doing the work have embraced it as well. So by doing a couple of things, so by pivoting, we've added another position, a call taker, what we call professional, or the 911 call taker position, which kind of gave us the ability to separate from a dispatcher and into a call taker if we needed to do that, by then changing the academy. So the way we kind of were running our dispatcher academy has allowed us a little bit more flexibility, and that's gotten us to the point where we are now. Knowing that, we then proposed that we went to county government, we asked them to add an additional 8 bodies to the division in the Bureau of Communications. Basically overstaffing, knowing that we're gonna have turnover, knowing that that's normal attrition. We're actually gonna lose, we're losing 1 to the academy. We'll probably lose another 1 to the academy, which is good. We're losing them in communications, but we're not losing them to the department. And so the reality is knowing that that's gonna happen, knowing the amount of time and effort that we have to put into these people, we asked that we be able to overstaff, and they granted us that. So we actually added 8 positions. You heard the director talk about it. We've already got 5 people in the academy for July, 5 more people in backgrounds. So the reality is we're moving that train forward. So it's actually been very, very impressive to be a part of and kind of watch happen. The other thing I'll mention before I turn it over to the captain is we have just now, we started on Monday, we have clinicians in communications. So our partnership, and a huge thank you to BJC for that partnership, but we do have clinicians embedded in communications now that are able to kind of field those calls that aren't necessarily law enforcement related. So we were able to kind of directly connect citizens as they call with the appropriate resources if it's not specifically geared for law enforcement. So that's a big step within the Bureau of Communications. I'm really proud to kind of be able to announce that we're doing that here in St. Louis County. I'll go ahead and get the captain rolling and get his PowerPoint up. Before I step off, I just want to take an opportunity to, again, thank Director Wagner and her staff, but also, I feel like I'm up here quite a bit talking about communications, as we should be, because they do a great job, but I just want to take an opportunity to thank everybody else kind of within the department, especially in my division. My division is comprised of mostly professional staff employees. The folks in the record room do a tremendous job. We didn't talk about it today, but their staffing levels are actually up as well. The care folks do a good job, communications, ECC, Office of Emergency Management. So just a huge shout out to those folks for the work that they kind of do behind the scenes to kind of keep the department running. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Captain Rowe, who's going to just briefly talk about Power Engage and kind of what that looks like for the department.
All right. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Lohr. So as Lieutenant Colonel Lohr said, we've made a lot of changes in the last year in communications. A lot of those conversations have started with, before you say anything, please hear me out, to argue for some of those changes. But one of the things that we've implemented in April is a NeoGov product called Power Engage. And so we started that conversation in October of 2023, and it came to pass here in April. So what Power Engage is, it is a community engagement tool. It gives us the opportunity to do a couple things, some advantages. It allows us to interact with the public. It allows us through text messaging to get information, get their input, and potentially make improvements to the Bureau of Communications. Another thing it does, which I think is really important, is it allows us to boost morale in the Bureau of Communications. So our telecommunicators, they handle over 100 calls a day, a shift, and so they don't get any closure. And if you ask anybody in communications, why do you come to work? And I've asked this question, it's because to look out for their officers and to serve the community. But they often don't get that feedback from the community. They don't have the opportunity to hear the impact that they have. And so this allows them to do that. And it also has an advantage from a quality assurance standpoint. So and the little bit of negative feedback that we get, we have the ability to go directly to that call, identify if there is a problem, and take corrective action. Thankfully, that's pretty rare. So you can see some numbers. We looked at all of our different call types. And so for 65 of those call types, those callers will receive a text message. So 30 of those call types, after 2 hours, they get a text message survey. For 35 of them, there's a 6-hour delay, and that only happens between the hours of 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. So people aren't getting text messages from us at 3 o'clock in the morning. We do exclude some calls. So examples of that, we don't send a text message, get a survey from someone who maybe has experienced a homicide, sexual assault, death by suicide, things like that. But the most common is car accidents, as you'll see here in a moment. And those, it's a very simple survey. We ask them 5 questions, and we ask them to give us that individual feedback. We give them the opportunity to provide comments. And so you can see the numbers. We went live on April 29th. We've sent out as of Monday, 6,621 surveys have gone out with a return rate of 34.25%. So if we compare that to what we did prior to Power Engage, we sent out surveys through U.S. Postal Service. We sent only 600 a year, and we got an annual return rate of 10%. So we're sending out, and this is just a couple months into this, so we're getting a tremendous amount of feedback on this. It's allowing us to do some good things. Like I said, most common survey incident type that goes out, traffic accidents, about 674. Our satisfaction rate, it kind of rolls and depend. We see how it trends, but right now it's sitting at 87.53%. Our scoring 4s and 5s on those surveys. So the obvious question is that small percentage of feedback that we get that is not in those 4s and 5s, what do we do with that? How do we address that? And so I will tell you the number one concern that we get if we get negative feedback is it took you too long to answer the phone. And we obviously recognize that that's a problem when we're addressing that through our staffing issues. And you'll see, if you were to look at our numbers, you'll see that our call answer times are actually trending down. So we are answering the phone quicker, and with this additional staffing, it will get even better. When we do get those negative surveys, we do have a quality assurance manager in communications that is going to look at each and every one of those, and then we'll take whatever corrective action is necessary, if it's necessary, and then we plan to communicate that to the citizen to let them know, thank you for your feedback. We've looked into the issue, and we've addressed it. We've taken corrective action. So we want to, the interaction with the public, updating them, I think we feel is really an important aspect of this. So just here are some examples, and the longest part of putting this presentation together was actually going through all the positive comments and picking out just a handful to put in here. And so that is just an example of some of the feedback that our call takers are getting. And what I love about this program is every Friday, it automatically sends to department email the positive comments of every employee. So every employee gets on Friday, here are the positive comments that you got the previous week. So they get to see that. And Sergeant Graff is working with us to it has the ability to put the comments, scroll through them, and put them up on the screen in communications, so that not only can people see their own feedback, but they can see the feedback of other members of communication as well. So this is just a really great program to get input from the community, to increase our effectiveness and boost morale of our Bureau members, and so they can actually see what they're doing, the impact that they're having on the community during those shifts. So the last thing I would end with the benefits. What does it do for us? Measure citizen satisfaction with these surveys, highlights Bureau satisfaction scores. It's certainly I believe it's going to have an impact in morale in the Bureau of Communications. And then another thing it has the opportunity to do, we have not implemented this yet, but we will, is we can give citizens updates through text message. So when we dispatch officers, it has the capability to send them a text message saying officers are on the way. It has the ability to say the officer is arriving. In certain cases, we can even explore the opportunity to give response times. So it's very interactive with the community, and it's so far it's giving us a lot of information. So, all right.
Your response rate's amazing at 34%. We just did one at work and I think we were at 7%
It's
response, so that's fantastic.
absolutely very pleased with the response rate.
Couple other questions, sir, or comments. Quickly scanned, calm me down, right? The notes to people that calm me down in a tough situation, provided help, give them a big raise. I think we'd all support that too.
I put that in there by
Everyone,
design.
Yep. What's really neat, a couple of us were out there for the graduation here, a couple, 3 weeks ago? And they post that stuff on the board, right? So people get positive reinforcement. And I love the mental side of that you hear the good news, not just the bad news. You talked about the current satisfaction score being 87.5. We'll round a little bit. Is there an average score? Because you said right now, so sometimes it must fluctuate higher, sometimes it must fluctuate lower. Is that
Yeah, so we've seen it as high as in the low 90s. And so it kind of, if you look at it, it kind of ebbs and flows, but it stays in that high 80s to low 90s.
Thank you. I wasn't sure whether the 87.5 was a high or whether the 87.5 was a low, and you said it's currently 87.5.
Yep.
All right. The impact on mandatory overtime in time of being fully staffed. Can you provide the board with an update on what the thinking, again, we have a long way to go, but what the thinking might be on the mandatory overtime requirements?
Yeah, so in communications, so we as Lieutenant Colonel Lohr said, we are looking much better staffing-wise on paper. The challenge that we have in patrol experience is the same challenge. Is now we have a lot of really great people, but we have to train them. So we have a very high number of individuals in training that aren't technically really contributing to those numbers. And so we do multiple classes. So we have a tremendous, over 20 people in training right now. And then once on the call taker side. So I think we're going to see, by the end of the year, the beginning of 25, we'll start seeing all those people that are currently in training actually being, contributing members, technically counting towards staffing in the Bureau. And I think that'll probably reduce that. We're seeing already when I get emails asking for people to work overtime, those numbers are already going down, and I think it's going to continue to trend down, and we'll be able to, one of our ultimate goals is to get off of mandatory overtime. Right now, we require mandatory overtime. I think we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel of that mandatory overtime.
That'd be a nice positive retention step too, would it not?
Absolutely.
Very good. Thank you for your leadership, both of you.
Thank you.
So that's about all I have. We just talked about the turnover in communications, and had it not been for the fact that we had the opportunity to hire those extra people, we probably wouldn't be having this academy class that's going to be starting pretty soon. Not long ago, had anyone come to us to ask us for a contract for communications, we probably would have been reluctant to try to take that on because of our staffing in there. Now it's gotten better. As a matter of fact, we just had a request. Tyler Edgecombe is meeting with an agency. I don't know whether the date's been set yet for their desire to contract with us for communication. So it's looking better for us.
Also good news.
That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Next topic on the agenda is the approval of our minutes from the May 7th, 2024 meeting. The minutes are in our packet.
I would move that we approve the minutes from the May 7th meeting.
Second.
Any further conversation, any corrections, edits to the notes on the May 7th meeting? All in favor of approving our May 7, 2024 meeting minutes, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, minutes from May 7 are approved. Letters in communication, any incoming communications? Anything from an outgoing standpoint? Very good. Old business. Forgive the oxymoron, but any new old business? Any old business? All right, under the new business category, we have 22 contracts. Those contracts are split between many school districts and school resource officers and vehicles. an updated MOU with the FBI, the SSM, and the Crisis Intervention Program grant. And we had obviously significant numbers for the academy.
I would move that we approve the contracts presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, any further conversation on the collective or individual contracts within? All in favor of approving the 22 contracts as contained and recommended for approval, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, contracts are approved. Thank you again for the efficiency in which we can do that, not having to read each of the 22 contracts. We are greatly appreciative. Amy, anything from a public perspective? No, ma'am. All right. The Board of Police Commissioners may vote to go into closed meeting for legal advice and review of claims and lawsuits involving the Police Department, Section 610.0211 RSMO and Section 114.020.11 SLCRO, discussion of employee and personnel matters, Sections 610.0213 and 13 RSMO and Sections 114.02013 and 13 SLCRO, preparation and discussion for negotiations with employee groups, Sections 610.0219 RSMO and Section 114.020.19. May I have a motion to move to closed session?
Move that the board moves to closed session.
Do we have a second? Thank you. Amy?
Commissioner Ashworth,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Hassler,
Yes.
Commissioner Wild.
Yes.
We are now in closed session. You all have a very happy, safe, and enjoyable June. We have returned from closed session. We voted in closed session to return to open session. It was a unanimous vote. Our next board meeting will be July 9th at 9 a.m. Any other business?
No, sir.
None. May we have a motion to adjourn?
Move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Any further conversation on adjournment? Mike, you don't want to talk for another couple hours? All right. Amy, would you do a roll call vote on adjournment, please?
Commissioner Ashworth,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Hassler,
Yes.
Commissioner Wild.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Have a good June.
So